guys, and welcome to episode number 51 of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Today is August the 13th. Sorry, brain freeze. August 13th, 2016. I'm so happy you're here with me today, and if you're watching this podcast, it means that my new microphone, which is this little buddy here, is actually working, which would be super amazing. Because as you might know, I've had crazy amounts of technical difficulties lately. And yeah, honestly, if you're watching this, I'd probably be celebrating this very hugely because I've just been dreading this entire technical dilemma that we've been having lately. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching for the first time, please don't let the craziness scare you off. I swear I'm not that crazy all the time. Well, I'm kind of crazy. Anyways, and if you're coming back, thank you ever so much. You know, I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate your feedback, your comments. I really enjoy getting to know you, and I really hope that you will enjoy this podcast as well. So I will try to keep this quick because I did record all of this before, literally 10 minutes before my microphone adapter cable came. And I said it was going to be a short episode, but let me tell you guys, it really wasn't. So I'm going to try to keep this one actually short. And yeah, I feel like now I'm rushing, so I'll try to somehow keep a sort of medium craziness going on here. Oh God. Anyways, this is a knitting podcast. Today I will talk about knit-alongs, finished objects, works in progress, acquisitions, and life in general. So for knit-alongs, we have the Squishy Cow, which is a knit-along for the Squishalicious shawl pattern as well as the Crazy Days shawl pattern, both of which I designed within this year. And it runs until August 31st, so I can only encourage you to knit one of those two patterns. I really love seeing your interpretations of the patterns, and we have prizes. All of the knit-along prizes I have shown last week, so if you're interested, either go back to episode 50, or I have all of them listed in the threads in the Ravelry group as well. So the second knit-along that we have going on is the Treat Yourself Cow, and that is literally just to treat yourself with some nice yarn, some yarn that is precious to you because someone gave it to you, some fancy yarn, some fancy project, something that you really love but you haven't really dared to cast on because it feels special. That's exactly what this knit-along is all about. So I hope that you'll join us, and again, we have some amazing prizes. And that runs until September 31st. We also have a coupon code for Nalibes, which is a German Etsy store. It is spelled N-A-L-I-B-E-S, and she dyes yarn and makes project bags and other pretty things. And with the code HAPPY10, Happy, all capitals, 10, you will get 10% off her store until the end of the Treat Yourself Cow, which is September 31st. And she also donated a prize for the cow and sent me a beautiful project bag, which I might show you later if I don't forget. So, finished objects. I have two finished objects. Or I guess I have three if you count the socks twice, because I have two socks. Does that work, or is that my craziness? I've definitely had too much coffee today. In fact, my boyfriend just made me another cup, but this is decaf, thank God. Because it is already like 6 or 7 or something p.m. And I already sleep really badly, so I really shouldn't have coffee at night. My finished object is a pair of socks, and these are my blueberry waffle socks. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, and I love this pattern to death. It's the second time that I'm knitting it, and it's really fun to knit, and it makes the most perfectly fitting socks ever. These fit so well, so I feel like if you're knitting for friends, especially, but also for yourself, these will fit perfectly, so they're just a perfect pattern. So this is the yarn that I've used, and I'm recording with a new app, so I'm not quite sure how the focus works yet. But you can see the blueberry waffles pattern here. And I did a 2x2 rib for 20 rows. I threw in a fish lips kiss heel. and a rounded toe. So these are out of She Bought Garne, which is a German indie dyer who I love very much. Again, she also donated a prize for the Treat Yourself cow, but I swear I don't say that because of the prize, but because I honestly really love her yarn. This is the soft sock base. It is 80/20 merino nylon, I believe, and the colorway is a wild thing, and they are really crazy, and I love them, and I'm really happy to have them finished. I knit these over 64 stitches on a 2.25 millimeter higher shape circular needle on Magic Loop. So that's my first finished object. My second finished object is kind of buried, and that is my Succulent Shawl. So the Succulent Shawl is a pattern by Maria Monska of the Stitch in Sweden podcast, and this is what it looks like. It is huge. It's kind of rolling at the top, but that's because I've been wearing it all day and I've kind of sat on it when I was in the car. Yeah, because that's how much care I take of my knitting. But anyways, it is very huge. I won't put it on right now because it'll mess with my brand new microphone. But if you want to see, this is only half of the shawl, so you can guess how long it is. It is very cuddly, very, very beautiful. I love this sort of lace. The only modification I've made is I have knit chart D in garter stitch, so I knit all the wrong side rows because I wanted to prevent any kind of rolling. And it still rolls a tiny bit, but it's okay. And I did not do any picot edges. I just bound off because I was quite worried about running out of yarn, because this is how much I had left. And also because I sometimes like picots, but not all of the time. And on lacy shawls, I don't know. I thought that was lacy enough. But I really, really love this finished object. I love the color. I feel like I'm suddenly really liking blue, and blue has never been a color that I gravitate towards, but lots of people have said that it actually suits me quite well, and I don't know, I do think so too, and it really goes with everything I have because I like to dress in a lot of cool tones, so this works really, really well. Yeah, so that's that. This pattern is by Maria Monska, as I said. I've knitted this 3 times now. This is my 3rd version, but I just love this pattern so much. I will probably knit it a 4th time at some point. That's how much I love it. And I used 3.5 millimeter US size 4 needles, and the ones that I used were Knit Pro Nova interchangeables. I have a Knit Pro Nova interchangeable set, which I really like, and they're really good for knitting shawls. The yarn that I used was Juniper Moon Farm in the Findley base, which is a 50% merino, 50% silk base. I think it has about almost 800 yards per 100 grams. I used 1 skein. So it is a really nice, luxurious lace weight yarn, and I thought it was actually quite affordable as well at my local yarn store. So I'm really, really happy with this as well, and I worried this morning when we took a trip, which I'll talk about more later, and this was just a perfect light drapey thing that I needed over a t-shirt, and yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. You can see how huge it is, right? It is massive. On to works in progress. I'm really liking this new camera app that I'm using. I feel like it focuses without crazy focusing all the time. Let me show you my blanket. This is my sock yarn blanket. Well, one of my sock yarn blankets. It's hard to give you an idea of the whole thing because it is quite large, but maybe you can kind of see it like this. I kind of fell back in love with it because I've been really stressed out lately, and this is the perfect project to work on when you're stressed. So I put in this square, which is a merino cashmere nylon mini from Zauberwiese, and after putting in the square I totally need to get some skeins of her yarn, or at least one, because this base is just so amazing. I also put in 3 more squares on a new row. So this one I got a nice swap from Kelly. This one you might remember, I knit my boyfriend some socks out of this yarn. This is Wolkenschaf in the colorway Sonntag. And this is another mini, and I don't know what it is, but it is really beautiful and a really nice soft sort of base as well, which I really enjoy. If you want to know how I knit my blanket, all the details are in my Ravelry page, because I get quite a lot of questions about it and I don't want to go on and on and on about it. So just go on my project page and I have everything that I do written on there, and it's really nothing super special, but I just kind of took different elements from different blanket tutorials, which is why I can't easily tell you what I'm doing in one word. I'm knitting this on 2mm needles and I'm really falling back in love with it. Sadly, my other blanket, which is the Pinwheel Scrap blanket by Mina Philipp, I'm not so much in love with anymore. Not to do with the pattern at all. I think I don't like the gauge that I'm getting, because I'm using 3mm needles for that one. And I don't know, I'm just not as much in love with it, and I'm thinking about frogging that one and just focusing on this one instead. But I haven't made any decisions yet, so we'll see about that. Next, I should probably show you my Treat Yourself project. So I have almost finished my Treat Yourself project for the cowl that I already talked about. This is the bag from Nalibes yarn, Nalibes Etsy shop, and it is so pretty. I'm sure you can agree with me that I love this very much. She actually just sent this to me as a gift, which is amazing, and this is the perfect project bag for a 2 skein sort of project. I'm using Tosh Merino Light, and the first color, which I have pretty much nothing left of, is Birch Grey. And this is Coquette. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, I did reset the dye on this because I've heard that it bleeds like crazy, and it actually did when I first soaked it to check. So these are my 2 colorways, and I'm knitting the Emiliana Shawl by Mahila Designs. And this is going to be hard to show because it is quite huge. I'm dropping stitches. I always see other podcasters doing that, but I've never actually done that on the podcast. Okay, I think we're safe. This is what it looks like. So I'll try to give you an idea without dropping more stitches. But this is super huge. There's this huge garter stitch, slip stitch sort of pattern part, and then in the last week I've done this part, which is mosaic knitting, which is so much fun. It is basically color work, but you're only doing slip stitches, so you're only knitting with one color at a time. So this makes it super easy and intuitive to knit, and I really enjoyed it. It was kind of like knitting a puzzle, you know, like you're with every row this sort of pattern emerged, and it was really fun. And now I'm on to the last section, which is the same stitch pattern as the first, and you essentially just knit it as long as you want or until you run out of yarn. And this is already quite huge, but I love this project so much, and I want to get the most out of it and have a really pretty huge shawl for winter and autumn and all that. So I think I'm going to keep knitting on it for quite a while, because yeah, I love this project to death. I'm really enjoying it, and can't tell you enough how much I love it. And for this project, I'm again using Knit Pro Nova interchangeables. So this is what they look like, and I'm using a 3.5mm and a 4mm for the mosaic part. So I went down 1 needle size, which is good, because even with going down a needle size and using the exact same yarn that is written in the pattern, I had to start the mosaic part quite a bit earlier because I was running out of yarn. And if you can see how much I have left, that's a good thing I started earlier. You're supposed to have 30 grams for the mosaic part of color A, and I started it earlier, so you'd think you need a little bit less, but still I was quite worried, and I was really happy when it worked out. So yeah, that's my treat yourself project, and I think this is my favorite knit that I've done all year. I love it so much. I love the process and I can't wait to have it finished, which is funny because I'm definitely not a product knitter at all usually, but this one I love so much. And she actually has another design which also has a sort of mosaic knitting, but in a crescent shape. So I really also want to knit that one, but actually all of her patterns are really, really beautiful and breathtaking. So that's my first work in progress. Next I have my Featherweight, which is living in my Diary of a Yarn Snob bag, which I love, and this is the perfect sweater bag. And in here I have my Featherweight. My Featherweight is being knit out of this yarn, which is Mirasol Sulca Legato, which is a 60% wool, 20% alpaca, 20% silk blend. And it is 250 meters per 50 grams, so it is a light fingering weight, I guess. This is shade number 13. And I have, so this is the front of the cardigan. This is a Featherweight by Henna Fettig. And the stitch marker is where I was last week, so I finished the first sleeve. In fact, I could have finished this a whole lot sooner, but I ran out of yarn, and I had another skein, but I just really wasn't feeling like caking it up for about 3 days. So that's why I haven't made as much progress, because I'm super, super lazy. But I finished the first sleeve. I did cake up the yarn eventually. These are 3/4 length sleeves. And I essentially just started knitting on the second sleeve. But as you can see, I haven't done very much at all, probably like 3 rows or so. So this is moving along nicely. And I'm really, really looking forward to having this done, because I love this yarn. And it smells really nice because I have lavender sachets that I made from lavender from my mom's garden in this bag. Like, I just put these into little organza bags, because that way I think they can, if they haven't been 100% dry, they can dry when they won't like go all moldy or something. And so it smells really nice. And yeah, I'm loving this. I'm knitting this pattern for the second time. I'm using 3.5mm needles, and I'm also using them Magic Loop for the sleeves. I was going to buy some 3.5mm DPNs, which is US size 4 by the way, but I don't know, I just really, I finished the body sooner than I thought, so I wanted to cast on the sleeves immediately, and I've never knit sleeves on DPNs before, so I just kind of was curious, but this works fine, so I'm just using my standard circular ones for now. So that's my Featherweight. And I really can't wait to have this finished, because I've been putting it on, trying it on every now and then, and it's just so comfortable and warm, and I love the yarn very much. Next, I have a new cast on in my bag from Mina of Mina Makes, and of course the knitting expert fame. In here is a pair of socks that I'm knitting for my boyfriend, and those of you who watched last week might recognize this is the yarn that I bought and showed last week. It really reminds me of a Van Gogh or Van Gogh painting. It is from Frau Odersocke, and let's focus. I will link her Davanda store, because it's not that easy to find, I think, if you're not familiar with Davanda, which I think is like a German sort of Etsy. Colorway is Mondlicht, which is moonlight, and it is a 75/25 sort of sturdy sock yarn, which I really, really like. It's very good for, you know, socks that are going to hold up and stay strong, and yeah, I really, really like it. You can see I did a 2x2 rib, and now I'm just knitting a stockinette sock over 68 stitches, and this is how the colors are knitting up. I was quite worried if he was going to like it, and I was keeping this as a surprise for Kai, but he totally walked in on me knitting on this, and I was kind of stressed out and completely didn't realize. So he walked in on me and caught me, and I didn't even realize it then until he asked if these are his socks. So I had to tell him, but he really loves this colorway, so I'm really happy about them. And I'm again knitting on 2.25 millimeter higher sharps, circular needles on magic loop. So my last work in progress is also a new cast on, and it's a test knit for a friend who is, I think, based in Vienna. Her Instagram is Herlene Knits, and she asked me if I want to test knit her new pattern, which is the Zinshaus socks. And I thought a long time whether I really wanted to do this, because I love test knitting, but I really want to devote all of my energy and time into this. But the pattern is just so pretty, I had to do it. And I have a hoe. I finished the first sock, and I think it is so pretty. This is what it looks like, and she said I could show these on the podcast. It has a twisted rib, and then the sock is kind of made out of this reverse stockinette twisted rib combination with eyelets in between. I'm not sure if you can see them. And this is so much fun to knit. I thought this was going to be a sort of, not a difficult knit, but with purling and twisting stitches, I thought it would take a while, but these are actually, they came along so fast. I really like the heel, which I messed up because I could not read the instructions because I'm just that stupid. But you can see that the heel is in stockinette, in reverse stockinette, which I really, really like. And I really like trying other people's heel methods. I haven't knit a heel flap and gusset heel for a long time, but I really, really like this one. And it also has the reverse stockinette on top of the foot, on top of the toe, I should say. So I think this is a really, really pretty sock. And the yarn that I'm using is Bärenwolle. This is her Princess colorway on her barefoot sock base, which is her 80/20 sock base. And of course I love the name, and this is the tag. I'm sure all of you guys know Bärenwolle, but this is it. And I have started the second sock. It's a little bit messy here. But you can see I've done the cuff. I think I have to do one more of the eyelet repeats, and then I'm already ready for the heel. So again, these are coming along so nicely. I really love them. In the beginning I was worried that the yarn that I chose was too speckled because I really wanted something soft. But I think it works. And yeah, this yarn was quite tangled when I had to cake it up. I don't know what happened, maybe it was my fault. But it really, I feel like with a Swift it's not such a big deal because I just put it on the Swift and kind of untangled it and wound it by hand. And then I re-caked it because I wind my yarns really, really tightly when I wind them by hand, so it's not that great for the yarn. So I just re-caked it with my ball winder afterwards, and it really wasn't a big deal. And I think all of you guys know how much I love knitting with Bärenwolle yarn. Like, the sock base is so plump, and for me it makes it really comfortable to knit, and I love the finished result. And I actually bought this yarn on my birthday, so it was kind of my birthday treat to myself, so it kind of is special. And that pattern is not released yet, but I will let you know when it is, because I can really only recommend it, honestly. It is so much fun, and I think it is really different to a lot of other sock patterns out there, which I like. So that's it for my works in progress. I have no spinning to show because I'm just on a spinning break at the moment, and honestly I don't mind it because I've been quite busy, and yes, I have made a lot of progress on knitting, but I haven't really had much mind space. So yeah. On to acquisitions. I have 2 acquisitions to show you guys. Actually I have 3 because right after I recorded this last time my Amazon order came. I ordered some needles. I've been wanting to get needles for a while but never did. And when I needed to reach a certain amount of money on Amazon to be able to buy my microphone cord, I figured this is a perfect time to get some needles. So I got these. These are Knit Pro Nova Cubics. So they're circular needles in the 3.5 millimeters, which is a US size 4. And they're the one that have the cubic. Let me show you. They're slightly cubic shaped, and I had these as sock needles which unfortunately the plating came off, but I really like the shape of them, so I decided to give them another try because I've definitely needed another fixed circular in 3.5 millimeters anyway, so I figured why not just try these rather than getting something that I already have. And they're the 100 centimeters, so I'll get back to you on how much I like these. Then I got a skein of yarn from an Etsy store that I've been staring at for a while, and that's Golding Yarns. I think she's relatively new. She has the most beautiful Instagram feed of her yarns as well, and she had a sale when for her wedding anniversary. So I had to take advantage of the coupon code, which I think has ended now. And I got this yarn, which is Walking Dead inspired. So she has yarn inspired by The Walking Dead, by Breaking Bad, and I think also a Rocky Horror Show. And it was really hard to only order one skein. But this is a single space, so no, I have not broken my sock yarn stop yet, even though I have been tempted. This is the yarn, and it is it's called Dixon, after Daryl Dixon. And I think it represents him really well. It's a sort of dirty browns and grays, and then there's red speckles, which for me definitely kind of represent the blood splatters, because he goes hunting, and yeah, I mean, who doesn't love Daryl, right? So this is a merino single space. It's 100 grams, 366 meters, superwash single merino. And I think this is going to be really, really beautiful. I love this yarn, and it was definitely a treat. So thank you to Kim. And she also sent me this cute little card that says, I've got you under my skein. And with it came a sticker and a darning needle, tapestry. What is this called? Tapestry needle? Anyways, it's funny because I actually really needed a new one. So I've already used this for my Sinshaus socks when I kitchenered the first one. So I thought that was really fun, that I really needed a new one. And I thought this was a really, really handy sort of extra as well. So thank you so much. The second thing that I got was actually a huge surprise, because I ordered a little stitch marker holder from Barbara of Knitting I Love. She has the Knitting I Love store, and she sells all sorts of really, really original, fun knitting extras, I guess. And I've been wanting to catch one of her updates for ages, but I never did. But I finally did this time. And this is a stitch marker holder. And it comes with this little piece of felt, which has her logo on it. And it comes with 3 stitch markers. She has different sets. And I got the one with the flowers because I really wanted a pink one, and you can attach all of your stitch markers on here. So you can see I've done that. I've just attached a couple to show you what the point of this is, and I think this is really, really fantastic because I have my stitch markers in a little box, but you know, sometimes you need them in your project bag, and then especially when it comes to putting back stitch markers, I often throw them just in the bottom of my project bag because I can't be bothered. So all of my project bags basically have lonely little stitch markers in the bottom of them, and it's really not the best way to store them. So with this little tool, you can just throw them into your project bag, and you'll have them organized. And I love this tool so much, and I just think it's such an original idea. So I really love this, and the markers that she makes, which are really beautiful. They're progress keepers, but you can also slide down the flowers, and then you have a little hoop, and then you can use it as a normal stitch marker as well. So this is really handy, and I was really, really happy to catch an update. And what I didn't expect is that she sent me so much more. She sent me a second set, which is an orange one, and this one, oh, I've already put some of the markers onto my project, but it had 3 of her markers. She also had a yellow one, which is on one of my works in progress, and I've just already attached this butterfly as well. So this was really, really fun, and I really didn't expect that, but there's more. She also sent me one of her coasters, and this is a coaster that also serves as a needle gauge, which I think is so smart. And I mean, how pretty is the design on here? It's such a genius idea. And you can see her logo. It's Knitting I Love, and I think basically everywhere you can find her under that name. She has a podcast, she's on Instagram, she has a store. And And this coaster is awesome, and I love that she chose the same color as my little stitch holder. So this is really fun, and I love drinking coffee, so this is just perfect. And yeah, I love her store. She also sent an extra pack that contains another one of her coasters and a stitch holder with 3 stitch markers for a lucky viewer of the podcast, which is just amazing. I can't believe it. I was really, really surprised. So this will be a very, very special prize, and I think what I want to do is I want to do a sort of milestone giveaway soon, because I didn't do a 1,000 subscriber giveaway or anything, and I'm close to 1,200 subscribers at the moment, so I'm thinking, why not make a 1,300 subscriber giveaway, which is kind of out there, I guess, but I really like the number 13. It's my birthday, and why not? It's my podcast, right? So I can just do that if I want to. So what I was thinking is to have a really fun sort of prize package. So if any makers of any kind would like to donate a prize for that or for any other cows, then please do get in touch. And of course, I don't want to pressure anyone into doing that. I just wanted to put it out there. So I think we'll have a 1,300 subscriber giveaway soon. And I will definitely announce that on the podcast and on the Ravelry group. I'll probably start a thread when we get close to that number. And if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, maybe you would want to do that now. So yeah, thank you so much, Barbara, and this will definitely be a very special prize, because I think some knitter will really, really love this. And that's it for my acquisitions. So places where you can find me. You can find me on Instagram as The Happy Knitting Podcast. You can find me on Ravelry as Wipfi. And if you have any sort of questions, or if, for example, you want to donate a prize, or you want me to do a review, which I love doing reviews, or if you just want to, I don't know, say hi, you can always message me. So Wipfi is spelled W-U-E-P-F-I. And we also have a Ravelry group, which is called the Happy Knitting Podcast group, and that's where you can find the knit-alongs, an introduction thread. I have an Ask Away thread. We have shameless self-promotion threads, so if you're a maker, feel free to post whatever you're making in there. And if you want to be enabled, definitely check it out, because there's some beautiful things in there as well. I have a thread for German indie dyed yarns, because lots of people ask me about that, and I always post a thread with the show notes for every episode. So that's where you can find me, and now I will talk about life in general, so if you're not interested in that, that's totally fine. Then I'll just see you next week, and if you want to stick around, then of course I would love that too. So, this week has been pretty crazy. It's been very intense, and I didn't really expect it, because, I mean, I should start in the beginning. So I've been writing my master's thesis in psychology for quite a while now, and so far it's been really good most parts. We've had some setbacks, but generally I've been actually writing for about 2 months now, and I'm pretty close to the end. And I always knew that my supervisor said that he was going to take a look at the thesis once and give me feedback before I hand it in. So he hasn't seen any of it, but I always had the plan that once I am 100% happy with it, if that's even possible with a thesis, I will give it to him and he will give me feedback, and I expect to then change everything again, because he's got quite he's very specific about what he wants, and I'm not entirely sure about my capabilities to fulfill these requirements. Anyways, I always had the plan to hand it in to him. Well, when I asked him about it, I found out that he's going on a holiday in September, so I can either hand it in on the 24th of August, or otherwise he will only be able to look at it after the middle or end of September. So I was kind of freaking out, because I really didn't want to waste time and sit around, but I also wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it in time. But I decided that I should be able to do so, so I finished my thesis this week. And I have spent this week rewriting and correcting things and changing little things and formatting, and essentially I feel like I've been writing and thinking and talking and dreaming about my thesis all week long, and I was really, really stressed out by that. I'm really happy with how it's going, and if everything goes well, which I'm not 100% sure of because there's always a chance that I realize that I really want to rewrite a part of it or something. But if all goes well, I will be able to hand it in to him in 10 days, which would be amazing. It's also great timing because then I'll have 1 day of knitcation, and then my boyfriend and I will go away for 5 days. We thought about going somewhere fancy, but really we didn't want to spend the money, and also we were just too lazy to organize a trip for 5 days. We have to, fly somewhere, and you have to get to the airport, and then you have to get transferred to the hotel, and essentially a holiday for 5 days is not much cheaper than a holiday for 7 days. So I just really didn't want to spend a lot of money and go back and forth a lot for not that much time. So we decided to just chill, and we'll go for holiday in an area called Allgäu, which is in the south of Germany, about 2 hours from here, where we can stay in Kai's parents' little holiday apartment. So we can stay there for free, and it's a beautiful place. I've only ever been there in winter, so I'm looking forward to hiking and beautiful scenery. I'll probably just blast Instagram with photos. And I'll take lots of knitting, and that'll just be really, really relaxing, and I'm so excited, and that will be the perfect reward for all the stress that I've been having lately. So please cross your fingers that it will all go well, because that will just be amazing. That if I hand in my thesis for correction, I will then get it back and only really need to redo it once, or change things again, and then that'll be it. So it's been crazy stressful, but at the same time I've kind of been realizing how close I am to actually finishing university, which is really, really exciting. It's very scary, especially because I've kind of changed my mind about what I want to do. I mean, it will still totally go with my degree, but I've kind of changed my focus a lot. So, applying for jobs and all that is pretty scary. But I'm just starting to actually think that one day I will finish a thesis, which, in part, of course, I always knew that I had to finish it, but I think for the last few months I've just felt like that point was never going to come. So I'm pretty excited, and I really need to just kind of reflect more of what I really want to do and where I want to go. But yeah, so this week has been very intense, and I've been doing a lot of stress knitting. But yeah, I feel like I'm getting somewhere, which is good. So it's been stressful, but it's been stressful in a good way. Besides that, today we took a really, really nice trip, and I will definitely include videos of that in the end of the podcast. We went to another lake, to a lake called Ammersee, which is south of Munich. It's about 40 minutes from where we live. And it was really, really nice weather, and we just walked around the lake, and we had some coffee and cake, and the scenery is just breathtaking. It is so beautiful, and the weather was perfect, and I took my Succulent Shawl, which was perfect when it was a little bit cooler in the morning, but it actually got quite hot, which was nice because it's been super cold and rainy, like you wouldn't believe. Like, it's been cold that I was not only wearing hand knit socks and sweaters, but I was wearing vests on top of sweaters because it's been raining and cold, and maybe like 16 degrees, which is really, really freezing for August. So yeah, that happened, and that was really, really nice. I went to a fancy little coffee or tea store, I should say, called the Victorian House in Munich this week with a friend, which was wonderful. It was such a nice place. They had amazing coffee and tea, and they have English breakfast, like sort of traditional English stuff, which was really, really fun, and I like that sort of thing. And also it was so good to go out and meet a friend and just kind of, I was so over my head with my thesis, and that just kind of gave me some distance, and yeah, it was really, really nice. Besides that, really not a whole lot happened. Next week we're going on to a wedding. We're going to one of my closest friends' wedding, which is really, really exciting. I'm super happy for him, and I've never actually been to a wedding with my boyfriend, with Kai. So I think that should be really, really nice. And my friend who's getting married, or both of them, they're both friends of mine. They're kind of the first, really close friends of mine who are getting married. So it's really, really exciting, and it's actually happening in Munich, even though they're living in Berlin. So that's really handy for us, and I'm very looking forward to that. With that, I think I've pretty much covered everything. I am kind of dreading next week, but because I know it's going to be stressful again, but I'm trying to remember that I'm so close to the finish now. And also, it's a long weekend. Monday is a public holiday. I actually don't know what for because we have so many public holidays. I think Bavaria is the part of Germany with the most public holidays by a lot more than other places. So I kind of lose track. But yeah, I actually try to not work on Monday as well. And I have some plans, some more deadlines that I set for myself next week. But if all goes well, it should work out, and I'm really looking forward to this weekend. It's already Saturday, but to know that we have 2 more days is just amazing. We've been running a lot. I've been doing a few longer runs for my taste because I'm not that great at running. So I really want to go on another run tomorrow, and hopefully with nice weather again. And besides that, of course, lots of knitting. I love knitting, and I'm sure you do too if you watch this podcast. So I'm sure you can all relate how wonderful and relaxing and joyful knitting can be. So last, I just want to say thank you to you guys. You've been so supportive, and I really, really, really appreciate it. And I know I say it every week, but it's really true. You guys make so much difference, and I can't imagine not podcasting anymore. I've been doing this for over a year now, and it's just become part of my life, and I feel like I'm becoming more relaxed and mostly natural, or mostly relaxed, I should say. Every week I've kind of been enjoying recording without show notes because it just makes me maybe a little bit more all over the place, but I can focus on the actual podcast more than I used to. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys, and it's just talking to you that makes this so worthwhile. I really feel like I'm talking to people and not just to my phone, and I've made so many friends within the knitting community, and I always love to hear from you guys. So if you want to get in touch, please do. Please never hesitate. Or to ask me anything, that's totally fine. So let me know. I hope the quality should be really, really good now. If it isn't, let me know. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend and a great week. And happy knitting. I will see you next week. Stay around for the videos, which I'll put in the end. And yeah, bye.